Oh, my name is Nicole Georges, and I'm here to demand that the locker rooms and bathrooms at District 109 be designated as biological male and biological female, as there already is a gender-neutral option. The girls want their locker rooms and bathrooms back. They want their privacy back. This is why I'm here tonight. My 13-year-old daughter's well-being and mental health and privacy is at stake. This nightmare began on February 5th when my daughter was using the girls' bathroom and was stunned that a biological male student was using it as well. She came home frightened and was extremely upset. I asked her to talk with her teachers and find out more information. She was told by the administration that a student can use the bathroom as well as a female locker room because they now identify as female. I was sent an email to the teachers involved and received a call from Principal Wegley. He verbally reiterated that under Joanna Ford's direction and their legal counsel that the student could use both the locker room and bathroom. I expressed that the school was in clear violation of federal policy. The Trump administration issued an executive order restricting biological males from participating in sports and accessing female locker rooms. That day, I filed a civil rights complaint on behalf of my daughter with the Department of Justice. It has now been referred to the Department of Education. A federal complaint has been filed with the district to protect the students. The situation went from bad to worse. A few days later, the male student was present in the girls' locker room. Feeling violated, the girls made the choice to not change into their PE clothes with a biological male student present. The next day, Assistant Principal Kathy Van Treese pulled the girls into their office, questioning them. The same day, Assistant Superintendent Joanna Ford, Kathy Van Treese, and multiple teachers all came into the girls' locker room, making them change into uniform.
You know how sick this is? At any other point in history, those teachers would be seen as predators and sickos. If they don't want to change into their PE uniform for whatever reason, you can't force them to. Yeah, you can dock their grade by all means. If it's a requirement that you dock their grade because of it, by all means do that. But you can't actually sit there and force anyone to change into their clothes, their PE uniform. So full stop just there at that point alone. You're saying you forced these middle school girls to take their clothes off in front of a middle school boy. At any other point in time, you would be seen as a predator and a freaking sicko. The straight up disregard for these young girls is absolutely disgusting. You're so worried about this mentally ill child, or maybe it's not even the child. Maybe this child was pressured into this by their parents, because we have that nowadays where parents are pressuring their child to be transgender, but really they're just mentally abusing their child. We don't know. I don't know if that's the situation here, but it is a possibility. You have this child, and we're so worried about this one singular child's comfort that you're willing to disregard the discomfort of these other girls. What about their comfort? Their comfort doesn't matter? Why is that? Why is it that it only matters if this one particular student feels comfortable? See, what makes sense in this situation, at least for me, as a problem solver, would be to allow that one singular student to change privately. Let them have their own space where they can change privately. And then that way the girls can enjoy their locker room by themselves in a space where they feel comfortable with other girls. And then the other student, they don't have to worry about making the other girls feel uncomfortable and thus also feeling uncomfortable themselves. Because when you're around a bunch of people that don't want you in there, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel unwanted. So to save everybody some strife, they should have just had the other student change privately. And those teachers that forced those little girls to change in front of a boy while they watch, they need to lose any teaching license that they have. They need to be criminally charged, because that's what, in a normal society, that's what we would have done. We would have charged them and then keep it moving. Hire new teachers that aren't going to abuse the children and force their woke ideology onto them. Those girls deserve a right to privacy. They deserve to feel comfortable just the same. So why is it that their comfort doesn't matter, but this one student's comfort, all it does is matter? I understand this mother's fury. I understand it 100%. But see, this is also why your girl is homeschooling. Because I would have to go in there and whoop everybody's ass. You force my daughter to do what? I would have to whoop their ass. And then if the parents of that other child is acting a fool, I'm going to have to whoop her ass too.
This went on all week with the addition of Ginger Laugerman. My daughter refused to take part in having her privacy being violated. How dare they? She ran out and called for me for help. Principal Wegley answered, we're offering my daughter a new, her answers was offering my daughter a new PE class. The answer was no. She is not changing for the remainder of the year, and she is not changing into another class. The girls just want their privacy and they want their locker room back. There are gender neutral options. This is my daughter's story and the story of many other young girls who have been forced at the difficult age to do something they know and most adults know is wrong. Do the right thing, Deerfield, and give these girls their locker room and bathrooms back.
What's crazy is that, like she said, there's already a gender neutral option. So why isn't that student going and changing in there? This is going to be to the detriment of the LGBTQ community. Why? Because as soon as there's a little bit of tolerance there, they keep pushing and moving the goalpost. And I can understand how people get fatigued to the point where they're just like, fuck them all. When you're just, you feel like they just keep poking at you. You give an inch, they want 10,000 miles. There is a gender neutral bathroom. Why can't that student go ahead and change in that gender neutral bathroom? You want to know why? Because they want everybody else to affirm this delusion that a little boy, just because they feel some type of way or their parents feel some type of way, just because they have a feeling that they're somehow a little girl now and they should be allowed in little girl spaces, even if it makes the little girls, the biological little girls, uncomfortable and uneasy. And honestly, the LGB, they need to cut ties with the T. They need to cut ties with the T and put them on notice because they dragging the rest of y'all movement down. You see, now people are starting to feel some type of way about gay marriage.
I actually did, as an activist, fight for you guys. I won't anymore. So, I don't know, maybe you win, whatever, but I ain't gonna be there.
Now, me personally, I don't have any feelings about that. These issues do not make me think that they should snatch gay marriage away. It's not a hill I'm about to die on. This is absolutely terrible for the cause because you have options and you're choosing not to use them in an effort to be antagonistic to those little girls and their families.
Allowing biological males to access girls' locker rooms sets a dangerous precedent that erodes the very foundation of female privacy and safety. By making this decision, the school board is not only disregarding the concerns of young female students and making their families, but also establishing a legal and policy framework that will make it increasingly difficult to protect the integrity of female-only spaces in the future.
Facts.
Thank you.
Shout out to that mom right there.
Children's genitals.
Yeah, for real. Nobody was born you when you were talking, weren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
We let you guys talk.
Back
While they were talking.
next thing.
Nobody was talking.
And this is the tolerant left being mad that somebody else feels uncomfortable. You're supposed to be happy that we're like, what?
I am happy to go after that one. Thank you, school board. From what I've heard, y'all are following the law, which is fantastic. My name is Charlie Friedman. My pronouns are they, he. I'm a trans person. I am the parent of a trans middle schooler.
Okay, the likelihood of this, that the parent is trans and that the child just so happens to also be trans, the likelihood of this is very slim. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are adults out there grooming their children or grooming others' children, trying to get them to identify with this trans ideology in an effort to, I guess, validate their own mental health crises that they're having. And honestly, all these parents that are having to deal with this, take your child out of that school.
I am also the director of operations for Trans Up Front. It's a nonprofit organization fighting for trans rights. We partner with over 30 major organizations, including the ACLU.
What rights do y'all not have? Literally, like, what rights do y'all not have? Do y'all really think that violating somebody else's boundaries is a right? You have a right to violate someone's boundaries? Let's be so for real. What rights do you not have?
And I would like to take a moment to talk about Illinois. We're all very lucky to live in a state that protects everyone here.
I got the hell up out of Illinois, and I'm so glad that I did, because this is some foolishness.
Specific to today, Executive Order 2019-11, which my kid was standing next to Pritzker when he signed. Yes, an executive order from the governor. And in that order, it's called Strengthening Our Commitment to Affirming and Inclusive Schools, which protects trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming students from the type of bullying that this parent represents.
How is it bullying saying that they're uncomfortable with your son being in their locker room? You're bullying them. This is literally insane. This is the Twilight Zone. Your child is impeding on their space, changing room that is available available for that student. It's gender neutral. Why can't they go and change in there and then just not have this problem? I feel like a lot of these people are just obsessed with drama and they go out seeking drama wherever they can. So what they'll do is they'll violate as many boundaries as they can until they get a reaction out of you because they're sick in the head and they need drama. And I wouldn't be surprised if the student was okay with changing in the gender neutral bathroom. I wouldn't be surprised if this parent was the one pushing the envelope, saying, no, you need to demand that they need to allow you, you need to demand this. And then putting their child in a position where they're making other children uncomfortable. We're living in a twilight zone where the bully is now the victim. Y'all get to bully us, and when we don't want to be bullied, then you're screaming foul.
Also, under the Illinois Human Rights Act, Section 3B-1, the use of restrooms, locker rooms, and changing rooms may not be restricted based on a student's physical anatomy or chromosomal sex. A student must be permitted to access restrooms or bathrooms, locker rooms, and changing rooms that align with their gender-related identity and without having to provide documentation or other proof of gender. Under this act, and it is stated, the discomfort or privacy concerns of other students, teachers, or parents are not valid reasons.
They're not valid reasons. So you're essentially admitting that you just want to make other people uncomfortable. That's what it sounds like to me. F y'all. We don't care. It's all about us. Our feelings are the only feelings that matter. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
Or limit the full and equal use of those facilities based on a student's gender-related identity. Instead, any student, teacher, or other individual seeking more privacy should be accommodated by providing that individual with a more private option upon their request.
And your child should have been in that private space. If there are several young girls that are saying they don't want to change in front of your son, then your son should go to the private space and change.
Sounds like that would be a great option in this case for your kids.
Talk to everyone else. Don't point us out. Do not look
Excuse me.
So the
Excuse
whole
me.
audience is that direction.
Excuse me. It's his time to talk, right?
The guy was like, it's her, it's his. This stuff is so fucking confusing because it's delusional. I would expect this to be like an episode of Black Mirror or some shit.
So if needed, we'd be happy to dig in to contact our coalition to make sure that the board is supported in doing the right thing for the right reasons and following Illinois state law.
And making those little girls uncomfortable by making a little boy dress in their dressing room.
If you need my assistance, please do reach out. It's transupfrontil.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Start homeschooling your kids. We need to have spaces where children feel protected, where girls don't have to worry about little boys claiming that they're girls entering their spaces. Honestly, like we can't continue to give any more inches. The moment we designated gender neutral bathrooms should have been the end of this conversation. But no, if we concede another point, guess what? It's just going to keep getting worse. You cannot negotiate with terrorists because then you end up with situations like this where there is a solution. They just don't want it because they want to continue to take from you. And to those little girls, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this. Feminists failed you. Feminists literally had one job, and it was to prevent this. And I hope that those little girls aren't forced to change in front of this little boy. And you know, if they want to play games and the parents don't have the option of pulling their child from the school and moving to a different school, all of those little girls need to request to have their classes changed and make it so that that little boy, unfortunately, to his detriment, because of his sick ass parents, is just going to be in that class by themselves. And they're going to end up changing alone.